Good morning, girls! My wife, Sandra, here, and I manage and operate the family Hyatt farm. It's owned by by me and Sandra and my brother and sister. Yeah, it's located at the western tip of North Carolina. Downstream here, down the road for 3 miles, is the nationally known John C. Campbell Folk School. Upstream 5 miles is the big Georgia Bricetown Valley Resort, biggest resort in the state of Georgia. This farm consists of about 600 acres. It's, like I said, it's family owned. About 400 acres of it is forest land and not in cultivation. It's for wildlife and timber resources. We have about 200 acres in pasture. Of the 200 acres, most of it is rough upland. It's a hard farm to manage because it's so scattered out. We've got little cleared fields over a large area, and that the thing from one end to the other is about 2 miles, and it makes it pretty hard to manage. The product that we sell from this farm, we're a cow-calf operation. We run from when prices are high like they are now, we're running about 90 cows. If the prices are low, and we go to sort of a subsistence situation and run about 70 cows. Right now we have about 90. We sell the product we sell for stocker steers weighing about 700 to 800 pounds, and then we try to sell the heifers as replacement heifers. And then we sell, of course, we sell cull cows. That's generally what we do here. We, of course, we live on the place. We farm as a way of life. We really enjoy what we do. We use the farm not only for farming purposes, but for recreation. We hike and we fish and we hunt and we ride four-wheelers and enjoy living out here. Right now, the way we market our cattle right now, we sell the steers as at 700 to 800 pounds, and we sell them to a person that finishes them out as grass feds. That we try to sell the heifers then. He usually buys the heifers too for replacements. So we got a pretty good market for the cattle without any kind of advertisement. I've tried direct sales in the past, and there's a lot of work into it, and I'm not suited for that right now. I would like to explain my grazing management plan. It's the biggest innovation we've had on this place. It's a life-changing innovation. It really did improve a person's quality of life. It's more fun than the way we were doing it. It's much easier. There's more profit in it, and it's been a big improvement on the place. Right now, before the year 2000, I was sort of a conventional producer. I had a little haying outfit, and I put up hay. I put up big rolls of hay, and I spent my summers. I spent most of my time in the summers putting up that hay. That was the biggest job I had all year, and you had to fertilize each field, and then the work involved and the stress involved was one of the biggest. That was one of the most stressful times in the year, was putting up the hay. So about 2001 or 2, I read of these other fellows, and through the extension service programs I became aware of these grazing strategies that farmers were using to extend their grazing season. So I tried a field over on another part of my place. I set a field aside and stockpiled fescue on it, and then I strip grazed it and fertilized it well, and I had a real good accumulation of forages, and I strip grazed it that winter, and it was so successful that I figured that if I fertilized the whole farm, if I put chicken manure on the whole farm, and got a big stockpile and rationed the thing out, I have a pretty complicated grazing strategy. Well, if I rationed it out, then I figured that I'd have to feed very little hay. So that's what I did the next year. I divided my farm into about 6 different tracts and then strip grazed each one of them in rotation. The first time I tried the fertilizing, I grazed the entire herd all the way through the winter. And then I had some excess pasture left over. And that, for the next 8 or 10 years, then, well, until now, I've grazed the cow herd through. Now, the calves, the weaned calves, I feed hay and grain. But on the cow herd, I try to get them through the winter on the pasture. Since 2002, we've strip grazed. Generally, we start strip grazing the middle of August, and we strip graze every day then until the 1st of April. I enjoy getting up. We usually do that in the morning before breakfast. I enjoy getting up and moving the fence and watching the cattle. It takes about a half an hour. So we do that from the middle of August to the 1st of April. From the 1st of April to the middle of August, in the summer, we rotationally graze the fields. In other words, this is about a 20-acre field, a 25-acre field, and we bring the whole herd in here and let them eat it down to about for a few weeks, and then we rotate them to another field. I'd like to mention my fertilizer program. What I try to do is spread chicken manure, layer manure on about 30 or 40 acres each year to keep the pH up and to keep the fertility up of the rest of it. The cattle grazing doesn't require fertilization every year like we did when we grew hay. So another thing that I'm becoming more aware of is the biology of the soils, the microorganisms, amoeba and protozoa and bacteria and fungi that are in the soil. And I try to, if you've got a long grass, it keeps the soil cool, and it helps stimulate those microorganisms, which in turn furnish some nutrients to the grass. I'm sensitive to the dung beetles, and I think the population of dung beetle has increased on this farm in the last few years. When I worm, I try to worm in late in the fall and in the wintertime when the dung beetles are not active, and I try to use those insecticides that don't kill the dung beetle. I think the earthworm population is increasing, and I have measured the organic matter with soil tests, and the organic matter is going up with this type of grazing. So that I'm becoming pretty well satisfied that the soils are getting better each year. So, and that's one of our greatest objectives, is to show improvement in the soils. This is a group of open heifers. They're out of the oldie bulls. we're trying to develop grass genetics on this farm. We're trying to come up with a frame score 5. We don't want the old anything larger than that, nor do we want anything smaller than that. We want cattle that are thick, that are easy-doing cattle. And the way finding the genetics for that's harder to find than it is to find feedlot cattle. We have to go back to farms that have a reputation of good grazing cattle, and I've used this year. This farm received the Environmental Stewardship Award, which is for the state of North Carolina, and we were very complimented that we received this award, and we were that's one of the high points of our career in life to receive that award. We appreciate it very much. It's presented by the Forage Council Extension Service and the North Carolina Cattlemen's Association. We have a lot of water resources on this farm. We have 3 creeks, Trapole Creek, Pine Log Creek, and Brasstown Creek, that are connected to it. Brasstown Creek flows by it for 2 miles, and Pine Log Creek flows through it for 1.5 miles. We have to keep the cattle out of the creek, and we have miles of fencing, of exclusion fencing, where we fence the cattle away from the streams. We've encouraged wildlife propagation and been very successful with it. We have bobcats. We have really all kinds of wildlife. We have a lot of deers and turkeys. One year the boys killed 12 bucks off of this place. The fishing here, the stream's been upgraded. When we were young, there wasn't any trout in it. Now there's trout. Used to there were carp, and now there's not any carp. We've built water systems, and the fencing, exclusion, and stream crossings, and everything have been very sensitive to the environment. I'd like to say one word about agritourism. We built this rental cabin. It's a vacation rental cabin. We rent it for the weekends or month stays, and we built it about 4 years ago. It's been very successful. We have a lot of repeat customers, and we think that maybe on this farm one of the biggest potentials we have is to expand the agritourism business. We've got a lot of things we can do to improve around here. One thing, of course, when you think into the future, the first thing you think of is the genetics and the cattle, because that's one thing that will influence your profit and everything else, and if you do a good job selecting your bulls. Another thing, we're going to try to keep to improving the soils, to improving the biology in the soils, and the organic matter, and to keep the mineral content high. Another thing that we can do that's got potential, as I mentioned before, is agritourism. We might can put in some trails for bird watching and some other activities. Might stock the creek down there a little for kids and work a beach into the thing. So we might have some prospects there. But we're going to transition the farm into the next generation. We got grandchildren, and all of our children are interested in keeping the farm as a working farm. So we're going to keep the environmental, the quality of life high, and we're going to be very sensitive to the environmental problems that we might have.